enthusiasm for my stories and also the clearest criticism. I say criticism, but that helpful criticism about how to make my stories better. So that was the start of our friendship. And obviously it's gone from there to a relationship and a marriage and now a child as well. So it's always been support from the very beginning. Last year's Malice Domestic, Tara and I were up for the same award. We were both up for Best Short Story. I made some jokes at the time about the fact that it had become awfully tense around the house and we weren't speaking to one another. And far from the case, we actually were very supportive, cheering one another along. And I couldn't have been happier when Tara won that award. Been very fortunate with attention from the Agathas as well. In fact, On the Road with Dell and Louise won the Agatha Best First Novel several years ago. So I'm glad to see that Tara's book is up for that same award this year and that I am not in competition for this year. We're in different categories. But we do cheer one another along. You mentioned before about the fact that the other short stories that are up this year can be found and read at the Malice site. Kay George, Barb Goffman, Cynthia Kuhn, and Sean Riley Simmons are all good friends, and they're all the finalists I'm up against. The mystery community in general, not just those of us who are married to one another, but I think is very supportive generally. Whoever wins that award, I'll be cheering loudly. That's just the kind of group we are overall.
I definitely agree with that. When we attended Malice last year, I was just in awe of the support and how everybody just seemed to be so happy for anybody that won. It was a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. Malice is one of my favorite places. It's like so happy and everybody's so great. It's really fun.
Tara and I both look forward to Malice as one of the top weekends of the year. And our son as well, he's 8. I mentioned him before. He looks forward to Malice. This is one of his favorite weekends of the year. So that community stretches far and wide, older, younger, across the boards, all of us coming together like family. Couldn't ask for better.
Tara, in One Night Gone, one of the points of view is an 18-year-old Maureen. And we read that you're working on your second novel about a teenager. What draws you to write about that age group?
My second novel is involving teenagers, but it's actually more, or at least it is evolving to be more about mothers. And this whole idea of like competition and like the competitiveness of anything from like elementary school to high school to college, set in the suburbs. And it's about all of that, kind of the dark side of competition. And there are teens in it, although they aren't the focus of the book. That said, there are a few scenes that I am rating that are from the point of view of a younger person. Like in One Night Gone with Maureen, I find those to be the most fun. And I think it goes back to the whole idea of, I don't know, I guess when you're a teenager, when you're younger, you just are generally more carefree. And I feel like, I don't want to say stupid because they're not stupid, but they don't have as much of caution.
Life experience.
Yes, there's not as much at stake for them. Now when our son climbs on something high, it's like I immediately go to worst case scenario. You're going to fall on that pencil. It's going to go through your eye and it's going to, like I have all these things. But when you're a teenager, you're kind of still like, nothing's going to happen bad. Sure, I'll go in that abandoned house. And so I feel like they're just more fun to write because they tend to get more into dangerous situations and do silly things. And that makes for a better murder mystery, I guess.
Well, Art, does it become old hat when you win more than one Agatha? Does it become...
What a problem to have.
Yes.
It's a good problem to have. Yes, absolutely. No, the first Agatha that I won was clearly special in a different way. We were at the banquet, and when they announced my name, Tara burst into tears. Everybody turned to her, giving her attention. Everybody forgot about me. So I started heading up to the podium. But that was such a memorable moment and hard to replicate. But I have been astounded by the fact that I've been so fortunate with attention year after year from the Malice community and from the wider community. It does not get old. It continues to help me sit down at the computer every day and try to write some more. It means the world. It really does.
Do you write every day?
I wish. As I said every day, I thought, well, that's not quite right. Tara and I are juggling parenting and day jobs and a lot of other things. My goal would be to write every day. Even if I don't write a lot, ideally would try to think about something. As I've said before, it's like when Dash learned to walk, that's her son, he was taking one step or two steps, and it didn't seem like a lot, and yet he got where he was going. So I have friends who keep a quota of 500 words a day or write for 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day, and I'm just not able to keep up that at all. But if I can get down a line of dialogue or make some notes about something I'm working on just to kind of reconnect with a project, that means a lot to keep going in my head throughout the rest of the day. That's the thing I ideally aim for, because one step at a time will ultimately get you where you need to go.
Okay, Tara. So there was a pretty strong Gothic vibe going on in One Night Gone, and some unsettling, spooky events wrapped up with a mystery. Does Tara have a dark side?
Of course. I was born on Halloween. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in my blood. Yes, I do. I love creepy things. If you follow me on Facebook at all, you will know that I have a little weird obsession with creepy dolls. So I like to post a lot of like creepy doll photos, and I love horror movies and ghost stories. So yes, I have a little bit of a dark side. I hope it doesn't scare Art too much, though.
I'm in a separate room. I'm in a separate room right now, so.
Well, you would definitely be our kind of people.
Yes, exactly.
At the end of One Night Gone, you listed some missing women. Are these real cases of missing persons?
No, they are not.
Well, I tell you, I have to say that the ending that you wrote gave me chills.
Oh, thanks. No, they're not. They're not real cases. And in fact, I don't want to obviously give away too much for anybody who hasn't read it. I don't think the very ending does much of that. But the way it's set up with like the sort of here are some future cases that people could look at. I've had people ask me if planning on writing a sequel or, revisiting these characters in another book. And the answer is no. But then one of my good friends said, this would make a really good Netflix series. And I said, absolutely. Someone sign me up. So,
Yeah.
Yes, that would be.
that would be awesome. But, of course, you never know. Never know.
That's right. Someone will hear this podcast and come running.
So.
Crossing fingers.
This is for both of you. Do you have any new books or short stories coming out that you'd like our listeners to know about?
Or events, even though events seem to be
On hold right
now.
So for me, I'm reading the next novel right now, which I talked a little bit about before, about the suburbs and Mom's
Name?
I'm sorry. Oh, a name. Right now, the working title is Good Mothers. But as I know, with my first book, that could very easily change because my working title for One Night Gone was actually The Off Season. I really loved that title, and then they changed it. Now I love One Night Gone. I think it's much better of a title, but I got wedded to that other title. So I've learned to not get wedded to any of my titles. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And Art?
I just had a collection come out, The Boy Detective and The Summer of '74 and Other Tales of Suspense. I was published by Crippen and Landru, which is a specialty publisher of mystery short fiction. Been around for several decades, what they publish primarily. So I was very pleased to be with them. It is a collection that covers 16 stories, and those 16 stories cover 25 years of my short fiction, beginning with the first story I had published in Ellery Mystery Magazine, which was Murder on the Orient Express. And it does play on the idea of the Agatha Christie title as well. So it goes from there to my most recent story, that title story, The Boy Detective and the Summer of '74, which appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery Magazine earlier this year. That's my latest book. I do have some stories coming out. In fact, Tara and I are both appearing in the novel and stories, The Swamp Killers. We each have a story in that. That's coming out in mid-March. We also have our first collaboration. We worked together on a story for the anthology, The Beat of Black Wings, which is crime fiction inspired by the music of Joni Mitchell. And that's coming out at the end of April. We have a couple of short stories and collections that we've actually are both appearing in, which is very exciting.
The one with Joni Mitchell, where will that be available?
Well, it was going to kind of debut at Malice Domestic. Yeah. But it is already available on Amazon. In fact, all these are available on Amazon and should be, some of them hopefully available at local bookstores as well. That was the plan, was have it come out in late April, about the time of Malice. Already there for it.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, our first collaboration on that story for the Joni Mitchell, we realized how different Tara's style and my style are in terms of writing process. She was very quick. She'd do her part and send it right back to me, and then a week and 2 weeks would pass, and she'd be like, "Are you doing anything with this?" And I'd be like, "Eventually, I'll get to it." But it came out. It's I think a fun story. I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's fun too.
Can both of you let our audience know your websites or where they can find out more information about you?
Yeah, I'm www.taralaskowski.com.
And I am www.arttaylorwriter.com. arttaylorwriter.com.
Okay.
So we will put that information in our show notes so all of our listeners can find you. And we look forward to meeting you when Malice Domestic does reschedule. And we wish you both all the luck in the categories you're nominated in.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thanks
And
so
we'll
much
look
for
forward to meeting
having
you.
us. This was fun.
We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
And you
Thanks.
too. Thanks so much.
You too.
And stay healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Wash your hands.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes, a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Take
All
care.
right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thanks.
Liked Tara's book for the difference in the two different storylines that were set 30 years apart. I really thought it was very well done.
I agree. And the fact that she kind of placed Opal Beach around like Ocean City and Atlantic City, we're kind of familiar with that area, so we could definitely picture the scene.
Yeah, seeing places that are so reliant on visitors in the summertime and going back in the wintertime and it's like a ghost town, it was a great backdrop.
It really was. It was very well done. And she really built up the suspense.
It's one of those books, this is the only way I know how to describe it. It's like you're a passenger in a car and you have no idea where the driver is taking you. But you know wherever the driver is taking you is going to be good. And I just knew we were leading towards something, but you didn't know where those two storylines were going to collide. And boy, when they did, it was something else.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. But it was like a slow burn throughout the book.
But as it built up, it really grabbed you.
And there were different parts of the book that I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. And then we'd veer off in another direction. And the keys to the story really embedded in the past.
Oh, sure.
Yes, the story would not have been as suspenseful without the history part.
What I thought was interesting, too, you never see a meteorologist who turns into an amateur detective.
Yeah, I thought that was clever. And I liked her story.
Like where she'd say a front was coming in or high pressure system.
Yeah, this meteorological.
And I also felt for her that here she is, she's embarrassed that she had to expose her whole life on public TV, and then she had to recover from that.
But I thought that was kind of good, the way she did to her husband. That was still a go get him, girl.
Definitely developed a relationship with Allison.
Definitely. And I'm curious to see what Tara does in her next book.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what she does with that.
Yep.
Then we have Better Days by Art Taylor.
For a short story, Art really packed a whole lot of detail into this story. You really got the picture of the relationship between father and son. You realized that the mother was like the mitigating character in that relationship, and now they're trying to figure out how to go on without her. And there's some romance. There's a murder. What can you want?
And it's all packed into about 10 pages. It could be a book very easily. It wouldn't take much to develop this into a good mystery.
That's really very true. I mean, you just flesh it out, throw in a few more characters, background. It was a full, complete story without all that, too.
Yes, it was. It had a little bit of everything that you want in a mystery. It had a good murder, good suspects, good outlying characters.
It was also surprising. I did not guess the outcome.
Oh, I didn't either, but I recommend this short story to anybody. If you don't have time to read a full book, read one of these short stories. It's excellent.
All these short stories are available on the Malice Domestic website and the anthology.
We wish Tara and Art the best of luck. Malice will be holding their awards. There's going to be online voting. So we wish them the best of luck in that voting process. Hope they win.
Now it's time for new and noteworthy books.
First up in new and noteworthy is a friend of the show, Lee Goldberg. He has a new book called Fake Truth, the third book in the Ian Ludlow series. That comes out April 7th. by Thomas and Mercer Publishers. The only thing more dangerous than fake news is fake truth in this exhilarating thriller.
Next, we have A Stroke of Malice by Anna Lee Huber. It's number 8 in her Lady Darby series. Lady Darby and her husband look forward to celebrating the new year with friends, but learn very quickly murder